since many years now, so I thought let me illustrate how we understand this Rishi for us. So because of this intervention of Rishi project at our college, we were able to sensitize the leadership, because as they say, unless there is a push, there is no things that as we see moving forward. So because of the project we are able to see the aura and the halo behind the Rishi in each of our leadership there in our college, which was very useful for us. And more importantly, at a systemic level, we had the NEP, no doubt, but at the institutional level, there were still gaps. So I think that micro to macro, filling the gap was something which was very useful. I think this intervention of the project has been very much appropriate. So before Rishi, where we were, and after Rishi, where we are, in a very short and very succinct way I would like to put it. Before we had the Rishi project coming in, and also being sort of barrier that was created due to the pandemic, which also had opportunities, no doubt, but a lot of barriers. But before, our mechanisms, procedures and tools focused largely on the national and the local context, and largely so because of the regulatory system. However, the curriculum and extension activities were able to go beyond the local, but still it was limited because we had our frameworks laid out, etc. And we had limited scope for internationalization as part of institutional governance, as I mentioned, because the sensitization was missing, and largely so because of the barrier that was created with being an affiliated college, because we have many gatekeepers whom we have to go to in order to do certain things. And the recruitment of faculty members was also nothing much going beyond the local and the national context, that is before Rishi. And enrollment of students was also largely within the local context. That is, actually we are also proud of our college where we have students from 21 states in the country, but again it's largely local and national. And we had no international office before Rishi, and limited exposure to internationalization in general, and also lack of engagement with institutions and organizations beyond, because we were very comfortable in our own cocoon in our college, that we could not go beyond it, and there was no much push coming in. That was before Rishi. And also lack, and this we found very important, the last point, because of this discussion and churning that was happening, we thought why not proactively go to schools and sensitize our future students about internationalization, so that upward integration happens and there's also horizontal integration. So that was not there. So after Rishi, what we see on your right is essentially looking at the local component. Though we don't want to disregard the local, it's a very important aspect, and as NEP also reiterates, how locally you can make your curriculum more appropriate as case studies, etc. But global is only in terms of looking at how to bring those case studies. Sensitization of faculty was also enhanced. Management is very, very important. I'm sure most of our private university representatives here would understand how important it is to sensitize the management and the leadership at the level of decision making. Then we were able to establish DICE, as Goa University also has. So I was just telling Dr. Rajeshri, though the DICE has been established, still it seems very dicey in terms of how, what contingencies are going to come up, because sustainability is very, very important, but it has been established. Workshops have been continuously being done with regard to internationalization. Then MOUs have been part of our college initiative, not as high as many of the institutions who are here. It's in the nascent stage. And as I said, proactively in the schools, we see that transformation. Because with the NEP, we have the National Curriculum Framework. There's a huge transformation that has happened in the secondary education. For instance, multidisciplinarity, problem-based learning, critical thinking, etc. has already started at secondary level. So I think this year when we engaged, we saw that interest in most of this ICSE, IGCSE, and IB curriculum in terms of looking at how they can use our college as a platform to go abroad. I think that was something that was a blind spot for us, and now we are able to. Among the various aspects of strategic plan for internationalization, only the ones in the blue we would like to emphasize because of time. And of course, the detailed document that we have shared will have the details of all the parameters of SIP. The one in the blue we want to emphasize. And because sustainability is something that we did not discuss much, so I thought we'll use this occasion to also reflect from our side. So first one is institutional strategy. We have revisited the vision mission over time, and it also coincides very well with our second cycle of accreditation. So it really gelled well to reflect. And as all of us know, in India, accreditation is something which matters a lot in terms of sustaining our vision also and also redefining. So that was very well aligned, but with the focus of internationalization. But we want to emphasize much on regional rather than international to start with. For instance, our vision earlier was to be a global, a preferred institution at a global level, but we reduced it to Asia as a short-term plan, and eventually it can become more beyond that. Then an executive advisory board has been established where we have representatives from University of Illinois, Chicago, Texas, and many other universities. Every 6 months we have these meetings so that we have discussions on where we are and what we do. And then our curriculum, with the limited space that we have to reiterate, we are able to align to 17 SDGs. When you look at global citizen, this is one way of looking at easily to measure where we are and how we can integrate our case studies, assessment. Because when we have very limited space for formative assessment, which Dr. Alisha will talk about, in that we are bringing in SDGs, and it has worked quite well in the last 2 years. As I said, the office has been established. Capacity building programs. We have been doing more top-down capacity building programs which are not that effective. So we're looking at now how to make it more cluster-oriented capacity building program, and not to do thematic, but to do more on pragmatic issues of, for instance, many faculty tend to have challenges on how to do formative assessment. Though we talk about it, but summative is something which we're used to, and we are all victims of that. So I think it's time that we see how we can do it. But that is taking its own time. Now, international mobility, we have MOUs ongoing. We are also participating in various winter schools and summer schools. There was recently in London School of Economics and King's College where students participate. And interestingly, law as a discipline has a lot of scope because I'm preempting the point. The international moot courts are such that participation becomes quite easier, at the same time more engaging. And since last year, faculty recruitment, there's a preference to faculty who have international degree. That process has started, and there is a differential pay for those who want to come into our college as a sort of an incentive with an international degree so that they can bring in some sort of internationalization in terms of practice. Then there are various centers which are established, but keeping in mind global issues. So we have a center for refugee laws and rights, humanitarian law, alternative dispute resolution, and intellectual property right, for instance. So we have kept the global agenda in mind, and also at the same time, all of these will also acquire the local context. So this is in brief, but I'll now request Dr. Ramaiah.
Thank you, Dr. Chetan. Reiterating the fact that whatever our commitment towards ensuring that we meet global standards, and despite the fact that we are severely challenged in terms of curriculum, we have brought in a lot of changes that can be made, especially at the implementation of the curriculum. And aligned with that, there are so many changes that we have introduced. The first one that we have done is to ensure that we fully imbibe information communication technology into our teaching strategies. At the same time, we also have smart classes. Before Rishi, we did not have smart classes. It was more of a chalk and talk sort of a system that we were following. But right now, we have fully technology-enabled classrooms. So technology is fully integrated into the teaching mechanisms. We've also started off with an incubation center which is called as Consulex in order to ensure that we harness ideas, especially from these students, and we're able to build upon the same. Courses. We also introduced a lot of courses which are aligned to global standards such as refugee law, humanitarian law, aligned to alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, and so on and so forth. I think I would also like to mention here, we're also actively involved and engaging with the students to ensure that the kind of skills that are being imparted are aligned with global standards. Recently, we also tied up with Law Asia and conducted the 18th moot court competition, wherein we had about multiple teams coming in from Southeast Asian countries as well as from the Pacific region. We also did have an international conference wherein the Chief Justice of India, Honorable Mr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, was also a part of this particular law issue conference and moot court competition. As an initiative right after the starting of the Rishi project, we have two important language labs which we have introduced. One is Japanese and the other one is the French lab. In fact, we are also bringing in visiting faculty from international universities to engage with the students, especially as guest lecturers or for workshops. I think I need to mention here the role that's played by Dr. Chetan, who's been helping and facilitating in getting people with global profiles so that students have that engagement with faculty coming in from across the globe. We've also moved on, as Dr. Chetan already did mention, we've also moved on towards formative assessments such as case studies approach in terms of flipped classroom method of teaching. As I already mentioned, we are severely challenged in terms of framing the curriculum, but since we have about a little bit of amount of teaching, that is internal assessment, is with the faculty members. We try to bring in different methods of assessment patterns which we have introduced, and we've also been trying to create online resources, and aligned with that, one of the first online resource that we created was a podcast wherein we had involved the relevant stakeholders such as the students in coming up with a short discussion about what is meant by internationalization, how do we go about doing internationalization at home, and so on and so forth. It is a 45-minute video. The link for the same is also here. In future also, we intend to create such kind of online videos by bringing in international experts to reach out to a larger audience. With regard to sustainability, I think I'll give it over to
Thank you. So I just one point to add what Dr. said. This podcast will also have short reels on various themes. If there's 40 minutes, then we'll have snippets of 5 to 7 minutes for the stakeholders. Sustainability is very critical for us because we are institution is permanent and people are somebody who keep coming and going. But how do we do that? So one was, as I mentioned, the Executive Advisory Board, who constantly keeps on check on what's happening, and we make a presentation biannually of what we are doing. Dedicated funds and grants for research seed money has increased over time. Our institution, because as many of us know, Ramaiah Group of Institution has 29 institutions from various disciplines on campus. So we get benefited by multidisciplinarity. We also get benefited by the grants, cross-cutting grants which are there with various institutions. Strengthening alumni fund for scholarship to students is also being thought through, and few have come forward. And as I say, legal profession is something which is not taxable. So there is an opportunity for them to come and engage in providing support, and also they earn very well. Harnessing alumni network is also something which we have thought through. That is, we want alumni to mentor students to write SOPs, because that's the first checkpoint for any internationalization for a student to go abroad. So they read, review, and also provide letter of reference to our students who want to go abroad. And there is little increase compared to the last 2 years in terms of their going to higher education. Then we are also exploring. Bangalore is a hub for many corporate bodies. So a few institutions have come forward for giving CSR funds, because as you all know, the 2013 Act provides for support to education and health. And education has increased now, and there's a need to increase in education. So there's a lot of funds coming from CSR, Infosys, Wipro, etc. They're also coming forward to support. So like first one we have is Aditya Birla, who supports the road scholarship. Similarly, we have Krish Gopal Krishnan from Infosys, who is keen to support students who come forward. And Nandan Nilkini has pledged 50 crores for scholarship for education. So like that, there are many people who are coming forward in terms of philanthropy. And I think this is also one more. And generally, these people who give, they don't want their names to be associated. Generally, so that's a good thing to also take forward. And we also found that when we have international faculty coming, we need to have tutors for us. We need to have trained tutors who are local, that is our own students. So we need to sensitize them about teaching, learning resources, how to evaluate, how to engage in formative assessment. Because that connect happens and they are training them. There's sustainability of that sort also coming up. We have done a SWOT analysis. This is the last second slide before thank you. So the strengths that we found ourselves are that, as I repeat, changing governance mechanism. So there is a renewed thought process in the leadership in terms of looking at how internationalization is. And it was not that it was not there earlier, but now it has become institutionalized rather than just hearsay and a talk. And the location, that is Bangalore, is very advantageous for us, which is our strength. We have not harnessed it to the maximum, but now with all this churning happening, there's a scope and there's also a lot of activities happening. Moot courts are something which most law students across the world enjoy coming. And I think organizing more and more, as Dr. Anushri mentioned, the Law Asia Moot Court really attracted students from more than 17 countries. So there is also scope of bringing them together. It's highly student-centric. The role of the teacher, the role of the researcher is very less. It's all the student who tend to take lead of it. Then we also have increase in legal process outsourcing. India has become a source for legal process outsourcing for global entity because simply it's cheaper and accessible. So here we need to harness on that. That's our strength. Weaknesses is we don't have much international students in single digit currently. Global reputation, national reputation is there, but global reputation is yet to be built in. Accreditation ranking, we are in the second cycle of ranking, but accreditation, but ranking in NRF we have not yet figured in the top. Actually, only in law there are only 30 subject ranking, and in the country that 100 that we are, all out of 30 we don't figure there. So we need to be working hard towards that because that has become a barrier. If you don't fall in the ranking, then you can't offer online courses, you can't engage in internationalization in the proactive way as we, and as Lucius College now becoming university soon, will have that freedom because of the ranking and other parameters. Autonomy is what we are aiming at because we are in a fortunate situation. We have national presence and we have the first mover advantage. Among the law colleges, we are the only law college who has been part of Rishi. So we are able to have that first mover advantage in terms of bringing the linkages. Challenges are many, but most important challenge is sensitizing the non-academic staff, the support staff, which is the biggest challenge we are facing, right from finance to infrastructure support to any support, even including the library. That actually technically library is not a non-academic staff, but over time in practice it has become a non-academic staff. But essentially bringing them together is the biggest challenge. So there we are having a lot of workshops and engagement with them, but they are also not staying back for a long time. They keep changing because it's a private institution, they are contractual. So even if you train, they tend to go and we have new people coming, so that's a very difficult thing. So, but the last but not the least, I thank all of you, especially Ivan, Asir, and all the team members from Italy and Robert, Professor Robert, who has been giving appropriate interventions at a given time. As somebody said yesterday, he only comes in when there's a problem as a troubleshooter. So he has been there, and of course, the Calovi, tuning Calovi is very close to our interest also because now we have moved to graduate attributes and competences, and India has already moved into it, and we are also testing that. So maybe in the future we can see a lot of learning from that also coming in, and more importantly we can also contribute to that. So with this, last word to you.
Thank you so much.